morning. This is Mr. G live from Horsehead Studios at Illini West. Just here today to talk with Ethan Lillard from WCAZ. He's doing an interview with some of our kids and talking about our Horsehead Studios and what we're doing here. Welcome to the broadcast. Hope you enjoy, and I'll turn it over to Ethan.
Yeah, I just thought that it would be good to highlight everything that you're doing with Horsehead Studios. I mean, having everybody involved and having all the equipment that you have is definitely something special not everybody has. So first off, I wanted to ask you, where did the idea for Horsehead Studios come from? Because, I mean, you think about it, when I was in school back in, 07, 08, the first 4 years, we couldn't have imagined having anything like this. So where did it all come from?
Wow, where did it all come from? So really, the idea, the concept was really built over the last couple of years. So when I came, we started building in some simple technology things, some digital video, just some scoreboards. We worked with the scoreboard, came in, we put some TVs in the hallways, really started to work with the idea of how do we broadcast information out. And so it really started pretty simple. And then as we began to develop and got some resources, just simple little resources coming in, I started to kind of think how we could make this something where not only am I doing all the work as a tech support guy in the school, but then being able to bring in kids. And so we had a tech club start, which really gave me an access to some of those kids that are more tech savvy, more tech oriented. And then they, through some of their resources and some of their energy and time, started putting in new ideas and going, hey, what if? And then last year, not this summer, but the previous summer, I had a young man as an intern, Zach Junk, go Zach, who he started to talk about, well, live stream could be something very important, and Twitch started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and suddenly all of these resources came out where we could do it for little cost, if at all. And so then he was like, what if we did a live stream? So we just, one day, it's actually in January 6th, I can remember the day, we just were like, let's throw this together and live stream a basketball game. I don't know how we're going to do this, let's just do it today. And so for like 2 hours, 3 hours, we just put cameras around and tried to figure it out. And then that was really the moment, I guess, Horsehead was born, because from that moment forward, we started to talk about, okay, how do we market this? How do we move this? What can we do with this? And really, that's the development cycle. And then we started talking to people about, okay, what's a good logo? What's a good name? How do we do this so that we really develop the concept of what we want to do? And so I'd love to say I had this great idea and a 5-year plan, and it was like, yeah, put it up. But realistically, it was very organic and very just developmental over time of just different ideas and different people putting in their streams of info. And then thankfully this last summer, once we did the basketball streams and we started seeing some of the response, that was when our superintendent came and said, okay, there's some grants that are available, but can you put together a program description, like a real program development? And if you can put that together, we probably have a good shot at getting this grant. And so most of what you see in here is actually grant funded. And it was a grant that we went after. We put a program together. And so this all really has come through that ability to go out and find those funds. Most schools don't have this kind of money running around. So finding that grant was just huge. And so now we have so many resources that we almost don't know what to do with most of them, or we're learning as we go. So it's been a lot of fun. And now we have a class. You guys on the camera only see a couple, but we have like 6 kids watching this as well. And so now we actually have not only the fun live stream and some of the capabilities, but we actually now have a whole class that's developed with the idea of how do we take digital media and really blow up our school with digital world. And so it's been a lot of fun watching these kids grow along the way. These two are that are in the class with us. So.
Absolutely. Cole Jackson, Daytona Dooley. So you're both involved with athletics, and obviously Horsehead, when it was born, kind of was born out of the athletic side of things. I know Daytona's called some games. Cole, have you called any games yet?
No.
Daytona. So we'll go to Daytona. So we'll go to Daytona.
You will.
Daytona. What's it been like for you calling games and all that, and what's it like as a student being able to have all these resources available to you?
Because of my future and what I want to do, this would be amazing to do. It's been pretty cool to learn and like develop through it. I remember the first game, obviously, before we were talking, and I was really nervous and didn't really know what to do. But as the games kind of went on, and having Coach G, or Mr. G, behind like the camera telling me, like he'd type on the thing, he'd be like, "Fine, stop talking so fast," and everything like that. So learning a lot of the skills that keep going like throughout as I'm doing this right now. But I don't know. Restate your question.
No.
I lost track of what I was thinking.
I think you answered it well. I think you answered it well, because it's a new experience for everybody. Obviously, this is a new experience for me too. So, but it's just awesome to see it all come together. How long have you been the IT person over here at Illini West? Do you know?
Let's see. I started June 15th of 2014 or 15.
So
I think it was 2015. So this is
So a
my
while.
4th year. So yeah, this is my 4th year at the school.
dang, so it's been a while then. How do you think the students have responded to the program so far?
Well, seeing that the class is like, this is the first year of the class, and really we've only done the live streaming for less than a year now. The response I've gotten is really strong. When it comes down to it, what I really am looking for is the kids that are in the school doing it. As much as we want to be community oriented, as much as we want to give the community the information and the resources and what they can watch, ultimately what we do here is about the kids that are in the building and how do we grow them and how do we develop some ideas. Oftentimes it's just, here's an idea and see if they take it and go with it. So when I say that I feel there's a strong response, what I've seen with the kids is they're excited, they love what they're doing, they're walking around the hallways, they're thinking about this, they come back to me after a day and go, I had an idea and I was going to try this. And that's really what it's about. And so that tells me that it's really getting a strong response. Now, that being said, we also have had a huge response from the community. We have some sponsors that have done great work with us and are willing to work with us, and that's just fantastic. And so they've done some really fun stuff with us. And I think as a community, they're starting to understand that they can literally go onto their TV and watch a game from Illini West for free on YouTube. And it's not some hokey setup. It's a fairly nice setup. It's got good images. It's got clear images. And then they get to watch kids develop their skills for whatever future they hold. So over time, I think it's grown. There's a lot of interest growing. In the last month, we had like 6,000 minutes of time watched just in the few that we've done. So it's getting bigger, and we're really excited about what the future is with these kids, and then what the future is just is in the school. So we've got our senior leadership, and then we also have our young kids coming in and stepping up to it already. And so the future's really bright. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Mr. Jackson, why did you get involved with the broadcasting program? What are you hoping to gain out of being in this class?
Well, I really like sports and being involved, and I've played a lot of video games growing up, and being the generation with technology coming in, just really like mix those two together. You get to watch sports, broadcast it, and just learn the tech side of it while maybe even playing in the future. So
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
Daytona, what are some skills that you would say that you have learned thus far from the program? Because obviously, being one of the experienced people in this program, you've had an opportunity to do a little bit more with it. Just off the top of your head, what are some of the things that you've learned from this program so far?
Definitely the backside, the tech side. When I first got thrown in, I was thrown in front of a camera. So they're like, hey, talk. So I was like, okay, well then, you start to kind of look into it, and it's like, oh, all the big bucks are coming from behind. So why not I know that sounds awful, but why not learn, what's going on? And actually right now what Cole's doing and what I hope to be doing is a hype video kind of. So we're taking clips of what's happened and putting them all together. So, it's a totally different kind of thing. It's so much more editing. It's more time than what you could ever imagine just in front of a camera. So from what you see, you have no clue what Cole's done for the last, 6 weeks, 6 weeks. And it started from an inch of time. B-film, B-roll, just that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool to know the different realms of what actually goes into sports broadcasting and the media and everything like that.
Absolutely. Mr. G, what do you
That was so much better.
really hope that kids take out of this program? Because obviously hearing what they have learned so far, what are you hoping that everybody who enters this program leaves with? Because I know that not necessarily everybody's going to learn the same thing,
Right.
but just elaborate a little bit on that, some of the different skills that kids can learn through this program.
Yeah, so the program itself when we say it's broadcasting, really we mean a whole plethora of stuff that comes in behind that. We actually worked with WIU and their broadcasting program and what they teach. And so we we went off some of their models of their approach, and really they do a whole person method. Really, before they go out and do broadcast, they're learning all the background, they're learning all of those things. And so really when we talk about this program, I think there's a number of things that we focus on, but I think the opportunity is enormous. I mean, obviously, she's talked about the idea of public speaking, standing in front of people, knowing people are watching you and how you speak, and having a presence and being able to do the research before the game and all of the time that's spent that we don't necessarily think about, that she didn't think about the first few times and she got there, but where suddenly it was this dead space and you didn't have any information. And so you learn that idea of the preparation time and how do you get ready for things. That's some really, really simple ones. It's just the presence of the public speaking that goes into any career they'll ever take. Every time they do an interview, public speaking is going to play into how they present and how they talk and are they prepared. And I mean, that is every kid ever. So, I mean, just on the simple side, that's one. But on the more technical and high tech side, you've got kids right now that have more technology in their hands than the first space shuttle did when it landed on the moon. I mean, so when you think about the fact that they have that kind of capability and how often do they actually use it. So there's also the idea of the audio engineering that goes into things, the video engineering, the cabling, the camera work, the digital resolution, and we went through resolution with them earlier this year. The idea of how to mix different formats of media, how to take media that's an image and turn it into a video and then turn it into a developed video so you can actually watch it and someone goes, oh, that's good, instead of like, who did this? So there's all sorts of things, but ultimately really the main focus is the idea of give them any opportunity to touch anything like this that they can, because you never know what might be something they go, this is really interesting. Even Daytona, who was dead set on the broadcast, started to play around and she goes, okay, I actually might like this more. It was a very much this might be more down the road. And then if you look at the development of esports and you look at the development of the digital platform world that we have now, the opportunity they're going to have to touch their world and engage their world is just enormous. And so if we can give them even the basic package of ideas on how to do that effectively and well, and present themselves to the world in a really effective manner, I think that's the win for this type of class. So there's a lot of on-the-ground skill set. There's a lot of general universal skill set. It's really a fun opportunity, I think, just to create possibility. And that's really the heart of the class. And my hope that's what the kids take away is it's okay to explore. It's okay to try new things. When you find something you love, work at it and make it great. And, that's what I teach my kids. I certainly hope that these kids get the same message. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Mr. Jackson, walk me through. Are you a sophomore this year?
Yes.
So walk me through how you heard about this program and what made you decide. What was the thought process in coming into this program, and what were your first thoughts coming into this classroom, seeing all the technology and all the different possibilities?
Since 5th grade, there's like a tech club we have at the middle school, and it's nowhere near actually learning what we learn here. It's just kind of like you get on a computer, you just get a search around. Freshman year, joined tech club, and he just started talking about stuff I'd never heard of, and like coding and, the hacking into it and making stuff like that. And there was a college class over the summer that they were talking about, and I didn't go to it. I was too busy. And so he said something about digital video production, and not knowing what I want to do in the future, but knowing there'll be the technology involved, I decided to just start thinking about it, and I had an extra elective. And so I signed up for it and just started learning everything that has to do with it. And now it's like favorite class.
Right. Awesome. It's got to be good for you to hear that.
Absolutely.
In Daytona, as you being the longtime resident Horsehead Studio.
This thing's only been together for like a year and a half. I know he's like long time, veteran.
I feel like it's
I'm
been
still
around
new
for
at this.
a long time, but hey.
It's what basketball it was a lot of basketball season is when it kind of got big.
But what are your hopes? Obviously, you're a senior. You're going to be leaving, but obviously you have a strong passion about your school and about this program. So once you leave, what do you kind of hope that this program turns into, or what do you hope that kids can take away from this program in the future? Like some of the things that you've learned, or what do you want this program to turn into after you leave?
Knowing what's out there and what can be developed just by what, like I've said, Cole has done. I'm super excited to come back and see what's going to happen. I know that the technology is going to be better. The skills are going to be better. I mean, he's starting as a sophomore. Imagine what he's going to be like when he's sitting in my spot. I unfortunately, like, it's only been, a year and a half. So, I mean, he's going to have so much more under his belt than what I'll ever have just from being here. But going to Western, hopefully I get to learn some more skills there. And so, I mean, if I do, learn what I want, then hopefully I can come back and teach what these guys, need to know. And by the time of that time, they'll know anything that I ever know probably. But I'm excited to see what goes up on the screens around here. It's going to be super awesome, and they're going to do awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mr. G, where do you want to see the program go? Because obviously,
better than
you guys
ESPN.
Just explained it to me. You're just getting started. I made it sound like you've been around forever, but you're just getting started. So what do you hope to see the future of this program?
Oh, man. Technology is evolving every day. So obviously we want to try and maintain that cutting edge. Where are we as a cutting edge? And when you look at high schools, there's not many high schools that have the resources we already have. And so really my hope is that by the time, as we move forward, obviously content's going to be great to have. I want great videos. I want kids to be able to show off what they're doing and how they're doing it. And that's a huge part of what I want to do, is where we have basically a complete channel presence where kids that walk into our school know exactly that there's going to be cameras everywhere. They're going to be doing photo shoots. They're going to be doing professional level stuff. And then they're going to have to turn around and edit it and put it out there. I want them to know we have that web presence. We have the YouTube channel. We've got all of these opportunities. And I want the community to know that as well, so that they understand that what we're capable of doing as well now. And so my hope is in the future that we really become kind of the one-stop media shop for anything Illini West. That we're able to do printing, that we'll be able to do the video coverage, that we'll be able to do audio coverage, that we'll be able to do a lot of the things that honestly you don't see until college typically, if even then. And then ultimately my main hope is that as kids walk out of the building as seniors, they'll at least understand that they're about what a digital presence is, that there is a digital presence in the world. Some of them that have chosen to be a part of this can walk out knowing what they're doing and actually stepping into some roles and going, I can do some things that very few high schoolers can do. And that really they're just better prepared for what this digital world really is all about now. There's so much information out there. There's so many things going on. To be a content producer and part of the development, instead of just being the content puller and just staring at it and just watching everything else that everyone else does. I think that's really the growth pattern I want to see, is that they turn into, I can develop some of this, I can do some of this, instead of just, I can look at some of this that someone else is doing, and that's really cool, but I can't do that. That self-esteem or efficacy or whatever you want to call it. So hopefully we see growth in obviously technology, but really we see growth in the idea of kids growing into it. They know what's going on. The school knows what's going on. It gives us a stronger presence in the world, just generally. It gives the community something that they can look back on and say, look at what we're doing and some of the things that are growing. Maybe someday even help the economy of the local area and keep some kids here rather than shipping them off, and be able to actually have them stay here and do some of this work in their basement, because this is not stuff you have to have huge amounts of space but you still can get paid by companies from Chicago that do. So the community side, and then ultimately just the growth of the students. Do we see growth? Do they walk out better for it? I think that's always what I'm looking at with the high school is, as a senior, they're walking out better for what they did here. I guess that's my growth path if I see anything.
Absolutely. Well, answered all my questions, so thank you, sir. Cool. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, don't stop yet. Just want to make sure everybody knows that WCAZ has started their new broadcast cycle. I think they're on 93.1 and 1510 AM. So this is kind of a reboot. That's kind of the going catchphrase these days, is the reboot of something. They're rebooting that radio station, so please tune in. We're working closely with them, this type of interview stuff. We get to broadcast with them up in the press boxes, and so we'll be seeing them around all year, but they're really trying to grow it and trying to make it something great again. Not to try and do that, get into the politics, but we definitely want to see them, so we want to support them and what they're doing as they grow, and then continue to tune into all of our YouTube channel. We'll be constantly uploading new stuff. Like Daytona was saying, Cole's got a new video that he's going to be premiering probably tomorrow night at the senior night game. We've got another video we're going to be showing during the senior night from another student that's been working really hard. So continue to watch for new media developments. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming out And then our photography, we've got Google albums that are starting to blow up with all sorts of photography. So continue to just follow along on those times if you can. And that's all free. It's online. You can look. We can also follow us on Twitter, HH Studios 1. We don't have a Facebook page yet. I might make one. We'll see. But thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Thanks to Ethan for coming down and giving us this opportunity to talk. And thanks to Cole Jackson and Daytona Dooley for being willing to step up and talk to a camera. And this is Horsehead Studios signing off.